Hi, my name is Anna, and here's the video summary of my autoethnographic research on the use of media in the search for solutions for our future. This research was guided by two questions. The first one was, which media consumption platforms provide me with the most hope in the search for solution for the future? And the second one was, what are the solutions that came out as the most relevant through this research? In order to answer those questions, I merged two methodologies. I reviewed the literature available on the subject, and I proceeded to observe my personal responses in three different situations. I noted them down on the spot. These notes would be later coded and analyzed. I created 5 categories of sense-making for the 3 field sites that were feelings and emotions, issues raised, solution provided, actors evoked, and other specific remarks. So the first field site was a university teaching on the topic of climate change. 5 speakers, mostly professors, made a little presentations on the topic of climate change, the issues that were at stake, and a few lines on solutions. My notes on this event showed a strong ideological opposition between what those people proposed and my personal idea on what the actual solution should be. Which leads me to my second field site. For this one, I sat in my living room and watched 3 independent TED Talks. The first one was held by a biologist in Nouméa, New Caledonia, who explained how he turned to permaculture, how it worked, and what were the main benefits to it. The second one was held in Ghent, Belgium, by a British economist who argued in favor of her project of a 21-hour work week. The last was held in Liège, Belgium too, by a software engineer and blogger who questioned the meaning and the perception of work in an overproductive society. He was mainly defending the creation of a universal income. When I looked over my notes on this session of intense YouTubing, I realized that first of all, everything presented to me was concordant with my personal perceptions of our economic system, but also all the propositions seemed to be so obvious. I couldn't believe I hadn't thought about it before. Everything made sense, and I enjoyed an overall feeling of satisfaction, optimism, and hope for the future. It came in strong opposition with the frustration I felt during the teach-in. So I headed in the same direction with the last field site. I watched the movie Tomorrow that was made in 2015 by Mélanie Laurent, a French comedian, and Cyril Dion, a French actor, filmmaker, and environment activist. I hadn't seen it yet, although it had a huge impact in France when it was released. With a small production budget, it still made more than 1 million entries on its release date in France. It started a wave of hope and turned the first story on the environmental crisis into a more optimistic vision. So in 5 chapters, agriculture, energy, economy, democracy, and education, the movie managed to turn my environmental anxiety and helplessness into a feeling of understanding the underlying systemic issues and the solutions that were already put in place all around the world. That was it. Hope, admiration, and mostly the appreciation of gaining knowledge on issues that mattered to me were the key patterns observed in my field notes. So to conclude on my main findings throughout this research, I found that I don't believe in technological innovation to properly fight the environmental crisis anymore as it was presented in the teach-in. And yet I found that technologies of information and collaborative platforms such as YouTube allowed me to share knowledge from professionals and embrace new perspectives on solution and alternative lifestyles. I also realized that my findings were motivated by a personal interest for agricultural alternatives and were based on primary knowledge on the topic, which allowed me to understand the difficulties such content can encounter in terms of reaching out to a larger audience. But still, this content was shareable, and I believe that the network scheme of social media could possibly make me an enhancer for such interest in my social circles. Also, the accumulation of knowledge reflected in my conversations over the past few months of research. My opinions were more solid and supported with all the data I had collected through the conception of those collaborative knowledge platforms. I strongly believe that my attempts to introduce concepts such as permaculture, localism, and minimalism to other people were definitely more effective after having spent a lot of time looking into those contents. As well, some of my consumption habits slightly changed as I look at it like what I bought in my last grocery shopping. Seasonal, local fruits and vegetables, products made in Canada mostly, and less unnecessary goods. Thank you for watching.